welcome to the show. It's Taylor Jones. On today's episode, we have Morgan with Cajun Ventures. Super excited to share this episode with you guys. She's been selling stuff online since she was 13 years old. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. All of her links are down below. And yeah, she's done over 1 million in sales on Amazon this year. So this is a great episode. Hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, here we go. All right, guys. So today on the show, we have Morgan calling out of Louisiana. Definitely a different style seller than we've had on the show previously. Super excited. She's been blowing up on TikTok, almost at 200,000 followers. So Morgan, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Taylor.
Yeah. So, when did you first get started reselling? Like, kind of, what was that first experience that kind of was like, wow, I can actually sell something, put something on the internet, and someone's gonna buy it?
Crazy concept, right? I actually started whenever I was 13 years old. I wanted to like play a sport and my mom couldn't afford it. So we went to garage sales and we asked people for their leftovers. And I used my mom's account. I know you're not really supposed to be 13 on eBay.
Yeah.
And that's whenever I got the bug because it was like, wow, I could take somebody's trash and turn it into money. So
Wow.
that's actually when I started. But I just kind of dabbled in it at the time. And then I kind of forgot about it for several years.
That's crazy. So you literally got started because you didn't have enough money. You were 13. You're like, no, I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah, I feel like most when you get poor, you get real creative.
Absolutely. Cool. What was the first thing you listed? I'm curious.
Honestly, I can't even remember because I just had bags and bags of people's crap from. So I know that like I sold like a lot of clothes. Like I know I was like had no clue what I was doing. I'm pretty sure people were buying my items from eBay to sell on Amazon because I probably was underselling so much. But it was just anything you'd find at a garage sale pretty much.
That's crazy. So you started at 13, and then I'm curious, like, how did that evolve? Because I know for me, like, I didn't get started really into the entrepreneurship realm until I was like, what, 22, 20, kind of, would you say that you have always had that entrepreneurship like spirit? Or, and I'm curious, like, so once you listed that first item, kind of, how did that evolve into your late teens and kind of what stuff did you end up going into?
It definitely changes your mentality. Anywhere you go, you're always kind of have that hustler mentality. How can I make money here? Not just like, how can I just shop for clothes for myself? So I think definitely you kind of are born with the entrepreneur spirit. I do have like my papa and my mama, they own their own metal roofing business. So they were the people in my life that kind of showed me like you don't have to necessarily go the traditional route to make money. Everybody else in my life is like my mom and dad, they were always like, go to college, get a good job, do everything in the right order. So it makes it be a little bit different that way, I guess. So I
Yeah,
kind of got the best of both worlds.
that's great. I know that in my family, like the same way. Like, I mean, if you look at my entire extended family, no one, every single person has a job. Like, no one has a business. I always tell people, like, I had a moment where, I graduated college and I had my grandpa and my family in the room. He's like, all right, what are you going to do next? And I was like, oh, I think I want to start a travel blog and make money on the road. He's like, what? And I just felt this like constant ridicule. So it was definitely a process, to find a place where I felt the freedom and confidence to do my own thing, which is really cool. That's really cool. So when I guess what interested me most about your content is that if you look at the reselling community, like you see, people doing retail arbitrage, flipping items, for a quick buck. You seem to be doing your own entire niche that I've never seen before. Can you kind of tell a little bit about what you do in terms of like your business and maybe the most biggest revenue for you? Because I was fascinated by it. You're doing like selling very interesting stuff.
Absolutely. I guess it would require a little bit of backstory. So basically, after I graduated college, I got your normal, typical corporate job. I was in the waste industry. So I used to sell dumpsters to businesses. I did that for like 6 years, worked for several different companies, and I was doing really well financially. but I hated my life. Like pretty much, I think like 95% of people probably hate their jobs.
Yeah.
So
And
I
how
was like,
old
there's
were you
got
at that point in time?
it was like as soon as I graduated college. So I graduated college at 22. I bartended throughout college. So probably for about 6 months after, I was still bartending, and then I finally got a job. I did that from like I guess 22 to 28. So I quit my corporate job at 28.
Okay.
And the process to get there, like I've sold all sorts of stuff because like we just discussed, if you're a hustler, you're always looking, like you want to diversify, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. And the pandemic this year has made it, kind of forced us to diversify even more so long story short, I started selling on Amazon in December of 2016, and I started like really getting serious about it in 2017. I did it for about a year and 2 months, and that's when I quit my job. That's how profitable Amazon was for us.
And that
About a
first
year
year,
late,
sorry to interrupt, that first year, were you doing retail arbitrage, private label, wholesale?
we did everything. The
Everything.
majority was definitely like wholesale and retail arbitrage, but we had like 3 private label products at the time.
Success.
And yeah, private label, 2 of 3 were successful. One was definitely a learning curve. Fortunately, it wasn't a very expensive learning curve, but then about a year later, my partner was also able to quit his corporate job. So here we are in 2020, and we've lived, like all the money we've made on Amazon, we have only reinvested it in our business.
Yeah.
We've been getting these like crazy checks, and like I just look at it like monopoly money. We
Mhm.
put it all in savings and reinvest everything. And from Amazon, we were able to get a Sprinter van. Last year, we traveled the US for 2 months. I know I'm going all over your
No, it's
question,
great. I
but
love it.
I kind of got to explain because I don't even know how I got where I'm at today, but I
The
guess
best way
this
to do
is
it.
30.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, we finished doing that, and we got into real estate investing. We're flipping our first house now.
Holy
But
crap, you are doing everything. That's awesome.
but the crazy thing you're talking about is now I help people sell used items online. So
Okay, like
I,
used clothing, basically.
yes, used clothing, like used anything, like
And who do you find to be the top customer for that? Like, are you like, or is it like people that like creepy people, like, or is it like
no,
up
no, like
women that like that want to?
normal. Okay, not like Poshmark, not like eBay. This is like something totally different than Amazon. This is, now I help people sell like used panties, feet pictures, and the clientele, like a lot of people think it's going to be somebody creepy and crazy. Dude, it's probably somebody who's, it's women, it's men, it's totally normal people who just have a preference for this particular item.
And
And
how
as
did
a
you find
seller,
out there was a market for that?
there's a huge market. Have you seen Orange is the New Black? It's a real thing.
Yeah, so I believe you. I'm saying, how did you find out? Like, what was the moment where it was like, oh shit, this is something that I could make some money on?
Okay, so I was on our Amazon business dynamic totally changed post pandemic. So some of our products were like doing even better, but then we were having problems with a lot of people had problems with like their suppliers not being able to replenish things. So we had to focus, we had to totally change up our business model. So I was actually on TikTok. I just got on during the pandemic, and I saw somebody and I was like, this has got to be a joke. This cannot be for real. So it was so interesting, and it was a super taboo subject that I never really heard anybody talk about, like showing their face. So I just like dove into it. And I kind of posted a video on TikTok kind of as a joke. And then I had like thousands of people asking me to teach them to do this. So I was like, I like there's actually people who want to learn to do this. And I had been successful just from like same thing as Amazon, just kind of from teaching myself how to do it. Because once you learn to market and sell a product online, you can almost sell it on any platform once you learn it.
Yeah,
So that's how
that's
I.
crazy. So you guys have done a lot. You guys were out of the van. You've done the Amazon. Now you're doing real estate. You're flipping your first house.
Yes, we
That's awesome.
we need more people for every. We need more. We don't sleep very much.
That's awesome. So now I actually went to a real estate seminar once, and the guy was teaching about house flipping. Was interested in it at first. Do you guys see yourself? I mean, where do you see yourself going in the next year to 2 years? Do you guys see yourself kind of staying diversified or kind of going all in on one thing or?
No, I will never go all in on one thing because it's too risky. Anybody on Amazon knows your account can be closed at any time. Your house, the real estate market can crash at any time. The stock market can crash. Like anything you have can be taken away from you at any second.
Yeah,
So if you diversify, as you know, if you have 4 different streams of income and one of them goes away, you're still going to survive. So our main goal is we were at a point where we were doing Amazon shipments 5 days a week, and it wasn't private label, it was all retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale. And we were just like, we were working even more than when we had our corporate jobs.
yeah,
So we're like, we've got to get smarter. So that's kind of why I dove into this digital product marketplace, because it's similar to private label. You can do the work upfront, as you know, since you have your Amazon course,
yeah.
and then kind of reap the benefits afterwards.
Absolutely. And that's something literally the exact situation that you just described is like kind of a process that I've seen myself moving into and through the past couple months, even into right now. That's why I'm starting this next project. I'm trying to build another course to teach people how to create their own digital products because it was so difficult for me. I feel like, as you probably know, to go from the corporate world to go into the 9 to 5 mindset, moving into the entrepreneurship space, that transition was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. So, but yeah, like I was literally thinking about that on my walk, like last night, like literally Amazon could shut me down, any one of us down. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do if that happens? So
Mm.
the courses have been great. I want to help other people get those up and running. Especially, I mean, what are your thoughts on like, if you look at like the college because of like COVID, I feel like that the way we learn is changing. You know what I'm saying?
Everything is changing. The way we get food. I haven't been to like a grocery store. I live right across the street from Target, like Albertsons, all these grocery stores. Since March, I've been one time. Like we get everything delivered. Like everything has and it's. I'm not saying things aren't going to go back to how they are, but I think it's going to make people realize how much easier they can do things. Like you
Yeah.
can order your groceries on Amazon. You can set up subscribe and save for your diapers so you don't have to bring your newborn to Walmart. Like I think it's going to make things be better in the long run.
More
But
efficient.
like anything, it's going to change, you know?
Yeah. So I'm curious what your advice is, Morgan, because it seems like you guys have gone through this process. For someone like me that I'm, 5 days out of the week, I'm probably hustling retail arbitrage at least 4 hours a day. What would be your biggest piece of advice for probably if I want to expand more into wholesale, private label, or digital products, making that transition to be, like you said, working smarter? What would be your biggest piece of advice?
Well, I know exactly where you're at because I was there, and it's addictive because like how I love your TikTok videos, how you're
Yeah.
just like at a normal store where other people are like getting more in debt buying crap, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm literally this is how easy it is, and I get like on the tail end, there's still problems that arise with customers, but it is like once you figure it out, it is
So
easy.
simple. Like it's not
Yeah,
it's hard work, but the idea and the concept once you understand is so simple.
exactly. It's not rocket science. Like a blonde with a southern accent has figured this out. And I could like barely turn on a computer when I started Amazon. So
Really?
you will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my advice to you is to think long term, like 6 months from now, a year from now. What do I want to be spending my time doing?
Right. Yeah.
Because you can make that profit in so many ways as like you're killing it. Like whenever you told me when you started, I was shocked because you're just like you just took the ball and you're rolling with it. I would definitely advise you like go more into your digital space because they're so like not only like are you actually helping people and like making a difference in people's life, which is so rewarding, but there's so many things you don't have to worry about like you do on Amazon. Like you don't have to worry about customer returns, you don't have to worry about items breaking, you don't have to worry about is this have to be restocked, is it going to be on back order. So there's a lot of benefits. So I would definitely recommend diversifying, but will I ever leave Amazon? They'd have to kick me out
Yeah.
because it's just too much opportunity.
Yeah.
Even like just at home and you're like a stay-at-home mom, or if you work full-time, I have helped people just sell like maybe 10 products a week, and it has brought them like $400 a month in profit. And like that is life-changing for a
Yeah,
lot
if
of
you're
people.
making 20, 30,000 a year, like, or you just a, minimum wage, that completely changes your life.
Game changer. Like that financial stress could, that like is keeping you up at night, could be gone. And
Yeah.
that is why I love e-commerce, is the
Yeah.
possibilities that like it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter who you know. Like if you bust your butt and learn and take the time to do research, you will be successful.
Yeah. I tell people, I don't know if you saw my video, but I made a video like it's not the most common question I get. The most common question I get is, Taylor, what app is that? What app is that? But one of the questions I get is, it's $40 a month for a professional seller. And I don't know if you saw my video. I was like, guys, it's $40 a month to connect you to hundreds of millions of people that
Yes.
are going to buy. Like, there's no other thing out there today, or has ever been out there, like Amazon Seller Central, ever.
It's like it's only $40 a month. And then it's also, if you don't want to pay $40 a month, you can pay, what is it, $1 an item. So I'm
Yeah.
like, if you're gonna sell less than 40 items, then do $1. Like if $40 is that, but anybody who says it's $40, they're not going to be successful because they're already making excuses.
They're in a different mindset for sure. So I'm curious, kind of what, you guys have clearly found a lot of success with Amazon, with, you're doing the house flipping. What types of digital offerings or products do you guys have lined up to help people kind of learn what you do?
Right now, what I currently have is I have a course called Secrets of Selling Weird Stuff Online. Now, that is geared mainly towards women who want to sell like used items to more of a risque type audience. I am working on stuff. You inspired me a lot, and tons of people on TikTok, because before I got on TikTok, I always wanted to get in the digital space, but I never really knew how. I
Yeah,
guess how you said how hard it was.
it
I
is.
actually I
There's
hired like
so
a
much that
business.
goes into it.
It's so much, and it's not that complicated, but it's like anything else, you just have to learn the steps. Thankfully we live in a world where like you can Google search, you can YouTube, you can pay for courses that will pay for themselves within the first month usually, if you I mean you can, if you take that advice and follow it, because
Yeah.
people can give you all the advice in the world, but if you do nothing with it and you're not successful, that's on you at the end of the day.
So yeah, so you, as of right now, it's just that one course that you guys that offer there.
And I have some things that go with it. Like I have a price guide on how to price your items. And then I also have, everybody always asks, well, I want to sell my used socks. I want to sell my feet picks. They're always like, where do I sell it? So then I also have just like a top 10 site list
Well,
as
okay,
well.
I have to ask, from low end to high end, what do you see like a really nice foot picture going for?
I mean, it really depends on what audience you're going to. I mean, some people will sell it for like as low as $5. Then if you do, you can, it's crazy. It's like Amazon, eBay, it's like anything else. You can do like custom, where what I teach people is kind of like the same thing you do on Amazon. You want to bundle items together. You want to make a custom item for that particular audience. So, I mean, I have had people like sell maybe like a bundle, because you can sell like a foot picture and maybe like a video to go with it, and possibly even like the socks or lotion,
And how
whatever.
the
And it could
most
be
you've
like
ever
$50. Yeah, it's
50 bucks.
crazy. I helped one girl who lost her job. She did this like full time for the past 30 days. She made $3,300. And she's like, I paid my rent because of this. And I know she was like, I just saw it on TikTok. I thought it was crazy.
Oh my
And
God,
I thought it was crazy too when I first saw it. But it's
that's
a
hilarious. Like, that's what caught my attention. I was like, what is this girl doing? Like, is this a joke for the clout, or is she cashing out right now?
it's not a joke. It's a
That's great.
it's a huge industry, and it is the industry actually. All these like panty selling sites are so outdated.
Yeah.
Most of them don't even have apps. So like now I keep telling my boyfriend, he thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, we need to make our own panty selling website, model it after Amazon, because these websites don't even like
Or an
you
app
handle,
or something.
yeah, you handle all the payments. They don't handle any payments. It's literally just a message connector,
Yeah.
connecting people
Have you
together.
considered doing any type of coaching or anything else that people reached out to you, like one-on-one, or?
Yes, I do like mentorship. Like anybody who gets my guide gets in our Facebook group, and I do weekly lives. Like my goal is 100% to help people make money. If I that wasn't my goal, I would not take all this time, the same
Exactly.
exact thing that you do. Like pretty much we have these our Amazon coincides. These other industries are totally different, but
Yes.
the goal is the same and the method is pretty much the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. So where do you see, okay, so you have the Facebook group actually that because I have the Facebook group at the end of that I offer and I have people joining. I have no, Facebook is like my least used platform. How do you find yourself like building engagement in that Facebook group? What's your advice there?
I agree with you on that because Facebook, you feel like on your personal Facebook, it's so much politics and drama, but
Yeah,
Facebook is really good for connecting people in groups. I have discovered because I feel like you can have somebody you know in real life who's very critical of your life and your decisions, like you said earlier. But you can meet a total random stranger on the internet that you have one common thing in and like feel like that's your family.
best friends. Yeah.
Exactly. And so what I do is I make my group private because it is a very discreet industry. Most people are anonymous. A lot of people don't even show their face. So I want to respect people's privacy. Once they get my course, I send them in the email just like a link to join. At first, we started with a free group and it got to like 11,000 members in a month. And I had
Yeah.
like no help. I had to end up like turning that off because it was just too big. I couldn't even like contain it.
Everyone coming from your TikTok over?
Yes,
Oh,
all conversions. I do post on Instagram and YouTube. I'm getting more on it now.
what are your subscribers on YouTube?
I just looked. I think I have like almost 900, but that is all from TikTok because I only have like 6 videos, and they're like old. It's like a Jungle Scout interview I did like 3 years ago.
That's hilarious.
So, but I'm getting on YouTube more. It just sucks. All the platforms for a long time were all like opposite directions. Like, so you'd have to shoot everything twice. But now I know with Instagram Reels, YouTube Short makes it a little easier.
Yeah, and like you could like I'll take this interview and I'll probably chop it up and try to find a couple good pieces, throw them on TikTok, maybe one on Instagram, right? You can repurpose it, you know. Um, that's really neat. So, I mean, 11,000 people. When is there something that you're doing other than the weekly lives to kind of build people to talk in there and to engage? Because I feel like there's no conversation going on in my group.
My group has the opposite problem because we
Talking
got
too
to,
much.
yeah, it's so much. Like fortunately, like right when I started, I was figuring it all out as I went, and before I had like an Amazon affiliate, like Amazon associate group where like I would post Amazon deals, and you'd get like I had that group. I was like begging my friends and family to join. It took me like 4 years to get like 1,000 members and no engagement whatsoever. This group, I was so fortunate because first everybody was like how you said, everybody asked you, why do you have to pay a monthly fee? Everyone was asking the same questions over and over and over, and so everybody was getting annoyed because they're like, it's the same question. So then I had to make it where every post is approved, and I was like, I am one person. I cannot, like, I just don't have enough hours in a day to do this. So I had like 9 girls who bought, like I actually had like over 50 women who volunteered to be like admins and moderators for the group.
Wow, that's insane.
So
Yeah,
now I have like 9 of them, and I feel like they're literally my family because a lot of them have actually some have like been doing this before. A lot of people join that this is like, they didn't get my guide, but they never had anybody to talk to about this. I've even had like a friend of mine who was like, I've never been able to tell anybody this, but like I have an
you've been
OnlyFans.
doing it on the
Like,
deal.
she's like, been having so many people like message me from like high school, like people have been judging me for this, and I'm like, girl, I got your back. Like, I don't judge, but I'm sure you see that with Amazon as well. People are usually pretty judgmental about things that they don't understand.
Yeah,
So,
like the haters. I don't know if you've read any of the
oh,
comment section.
it's shocked. Okay, it
It's
blows my
insane.
mind reading your comments. It's like I read your comments and somebody else who like flips furniture from Goodwill, and I even post one video on Amazon about like selling books, and just are like, you are ruining the economy. The poor children will not be able to read now. I'm like, do you know how many books are at this Goodwill like that people are not buying anyways?
Yeah, yeah,
It
it's
blows
insane.
my freaking
And I
mind.
think the biggest misunderstanding too is like, people don't understand like supply and demand. Like right now there's a shortage of the mason jars. So that the more mason jars I get into Amazon, it drives the price down and helps people. It's
Yeah.
like, Anyway,
I'm
so
just like, what do you think when you go to Walmart and Target? Do you think that's what do you
yeah.
think they just provide all this stuff for their costs? Like,
Have you
and
have you had any hate or anything in your
oh,
TikTok?
oh my gosh, yes, we've had 2 lawsuits. It's
Really?
like a nightmare. I actually, when I started, this happened a month ago today, and it feels like a lifetime. I feel like I've aged quite a bit. I started this before I made my own course. I started being an affiliate marketer for another woman who has a podcast. And she was like, I learned so much. She has a free podcast. I learned so much from her
Mhm.
that when anybody would come ask me at the time, this was like for 1 week. I didn't have any course because I didn't even know anybody was really interested. So it'd be kind of like meeting somebody to you if they ask about Amazon.
Yeah.
Long story short, after 1 week, I decided to make my own course. And like a month later, she got so mad that she claimed that I copied her course. Her and another creator sent thousands, thousands of their followers to bully, harass. They released my home address, my personal information, my family's information. They created fake accounts against me on every single
Oh,
platform,
your house?
even platforms I was not even on. And it was literally like a nightmare. And like, man, it really messed me up for like probably a good week. So like I just addressed it. Like none of it was true whatsoever. We are like, it'd be like if you have an Amazon course and I have an Amazon course. The
Yeah. I was gonna say, did you take her course and copy it, or did you make your own, or kind of?
Oh my God, no, I have never even taken her course.
Okay, so you couldn't have copied it.
Yeah, exactly. My God, no, I would never in a million years. We do have the same, it is on the same subject matter. It is on selling weird stuff online. She
Yeah.
has like 20 different courses of stuff I've never even done before.
Yeah.
This is just one thing, like secrets to selling weird stuff online. So, anyways,
What's your course priced at? I'm curious.
$29.99.
Yeah, that seems to be a good spot. I played around with the pricing for mine, and like I started out as $1 because I never did a course before, and then I kind of moved it up. And I found that I had it as high as 50, but like I realized that like if you can, for what it is, the intro course, like if not at
Mhm.
$9.99 a month or $20 lifetime access for me has been the best price point for both what makes feels right for me and for the customer, I feel like.
Yeah, I actually hired a business coach to help me get all this going, and he said I need to sell it for like at least 50 minimum. My issue with that was it wasn't that people weren't buying it at a higher price point, it was just the audience I wanted to reach. I knew that like 75% of them, that probably wouldn't be a feasible price point for them. My
Yeah.
goal is to help people. And like when I know that like if I can get $30 from somebody and within 30 days they can make 10 times that amount if they do minimal effort, like I can sleep good at night with that.
Yeah.
So I'm super comfortable with that price point. And I'm sure, but now I do know with Amazon, like I was told like Amazon sellers could, I mean, I'm sure you've seen courses for like thousands of dollars.
Yes. I mean, they go anywhere from 400, as low as mine to, 9 or 10 bucks all the way up to, the 1997 up to automation services. People are paying 14 grand for
Yeah.
automation.
I know people who've bought Amazon courses for 5 grand and never once sold anything on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been to, like, last year was like a big self transformation year for me. I went to a lot of seminars. I was following like Grant Cardone really heavily. Saw a post of a business coach, and I won't say her name, but she was selling basically a program that it helps you take your skill and become a coach. And I was like, I want to teach people, like, I want to be a life coach. I fucking love
Mhm.
self development. Paid 6 grand for her course, but I only a week in, I'm like, okay, this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I only put luckily $1,000 deposit on at the time, but I
Mhm.
was out $1,000. And it was I talked to other people that have taken that program and nothing. Like,
I had a very similar experience, and I was fortunate to have a deposit as well. And it wasn't that what I learned wasn't helpful, but it wasn't what it really said it was going to be.
yes.
So it probably was the same thing. It's like, okay, I invested this money to learn these things, not like So, and for being a course creator like you are, I'd never want that to be an issue. Like, I never want people to feel like they didn't get what they paid for. So I
Same.
always tell people like, hey, this is my first course. I'm not an expert. If there is anything that you feel like was not in here, please tell me, because like, I want to take constructive criticism and keep making things be better.
Same. So of all, I think I've had like 600 signups. I I've only had about 2 or 3 people ask for a refund, and I've said, can you please call me? Here's your money. I want to understand where your mind is. I want to understand what I can improve. What did I miss? Right. But yeah, I think like you can be a marketing genius and sell anything, but if the content that's behind the marketing isn't of value, then you're in a recipe for failure.
Exactly. You have to have a product that people want to buy. It's just like
Yeah.
Amazon. Like,
Yeah.
you have to have something that they want to learn to do.
Yeah. So do you see yourself making any new like courses or anything else in the future or?
Yes, I'm working on two right now. So I want to go more. It's like I'm ADHD, and it makes it so hard just
No,
to
same. Absolutely.
it makes it so hard to focus because there's so much opportunity, but there's only one of you. And no
There's
matter
only
how
24
many,
hours in a day.
yeah, exactly. So, but every time you create one thing, I'm sure you experience the same thing with your Amazon course. They get, and it's great questions because you want those like in-depth questions, because it's so much when you're even thinking, okay, where do I even start? So when I start making my courses, I start walking through the process myself. So I'm like, okay, if I was a beginner, but a lot of people that like don't want to show their face, they want to learn just how to sell feet pics, like specifically feet pics. So I'm working on something for that right now. I have been working on something for Amazon, but I was at a point, there's so many different avenues of Amazon. I think I want to focus on helping people with private label, um, just because that's something that's easier. I feel like it might be easier to teach, just because retail arbitrage, it's kind of the same, but Amazon is always, I'm sure you see it right now. They always have system failures. They're always changing things where like things will be restricted. I just feel like there's a lot of things that people could quit over.
Oh, yes.
You know what? Like they'll be like, "Oh, I'm done. I can't
Yeah.
figure this out. I'm done."
I've had so many, I mean, at least 10 different students of mine, be like, Taylor, this is, it's too much. And I'm just like, but there's a sea of opportunity and they got in their little ship and they pushed
Mm,
off shore and they hit a rock 10 feet out. It's
yeah.
like, dude, the sea, look at the sea.
But entrepreneurship, and I lead with this, it's not for everybody. It's
Yeah.
not. Like, if you're not a go-getter and you're not a problem solver and you are not adaptable to change, you're gonna hit your glass ceiling really, really quickly, because you have, like, things are constantly changing. And if you don't change with them, you're not gonna be as
I was
successful
gonna say,
as
how
you.
would can you see that pretty quick with people or like do you think it's a process? Or can you think you can turn someone into one or you think it's a natural thing or kind of what's your gauge on that?
I don't think you don't have to have anybody in your family be like an entrepreneur. I don't think there's anything like that, because how I grew up, like I grew up with a single mom in like a trailer park with three siblings. And I just knew like I wanted my life to be better than this. So I don't think it's necessarily like, do you have to have anybody in your family who's an entrepreneur? But I think you have to have an attitude. You have to be positive. You have to be
Yes.
adaptable to change. And if you're paying somebody to help you, you have to listen to their advice and like be willing to try something that's outside of your comfort zone. You can't just, I think that people who struggle are people who will do research. Like my boyfriend used to work with a guy, he knew every single Amazon terminology, like every little acronym. He had never once listed one product.
Yeah.
And the people who are willing to just jump in and go for it are going to be way more successful. So you
100%.
have to be able to take risk
Yeah.
in any entrepreneurship sort of thing you'll do, or you will not be successful.
Analysis paralysis, they call it.
Yes, yes, I always hear
And shiny object syndrome, like where you have, so many things. It's funny. Since I started my journey, like when I found Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, like 2 or 3 years ago, this year is really the first year I've done anything even remotely successful in business. But the first 2 years was just failure, 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 try, try, try. When I started selling on Amazon, I did not learn from anybody.
that.
I literally turned off YouTube. I turned off social media and an ad would pop up for, oh, Amazon, blah, blah, blah. And I would purposefully not watch it because I was like, I literally don't want to know what anyone else is doing because it's going to make it more difficult because I'm going to compare myself to them. I'm literally going to go out and I'm going to start scanning and I'm going to figure it out all of myself.
Yes, that's how you do it.
And it worked way better for me,
A lot of people aren't willing to do that though, so.
Yeah. No,
That's the good thing about your course is anybody who's not willing to, you've done that, you've done the legwork, and you're like, hey, you want to do this? Here's a pretty little package, open it up.
Exactly. And it's been great. People have, I love, like, my favorite messages are like, hey, took your course, like sold $2,000 in my first week. I'm like, all right. That was me.
When I get messages like that, like, honestly, it makes like all the bullying, all the harassing, all the negative comments, it makes it worth it because like, and that's another thing when we've been working from home for 3 years together. So, or 2 to 3 years, like the only person I talk to every day is like my mailman, Ed. That's it. So I kind of felt like, man, does my life like even matter? I'm just putting a bunch of random items and sending them to Amazon. Like I'm really not making much of a difference in anybody's life. But whenever you get messages like that, it's like, okay, what you do does matter.
Okay, so on your journey, you guys would say that, have you and your, was it your husband? You guys married or?
My boyfriend.
So you and your boyfriend, you guys have kind of, I'm curious because have you guys sort of unplugged from friends and family? What's that process been like? You just been in your lane or?
Yeah, but I feel like everybody who's complaining about the quarantine, I'm like, oh, we've been doing this for 3 years now. So just whenever you focus on a business, like that is your main priority at the time. The point of doing this, which we've gotten much better in the past year and a half, is taking time to unplug.
Yeah.
But you have to, but it's kind of like you realize how valuable your time really is. And so do I want to spend an hour it's helped me say no to things I don't want to do. Because why would I go to this event I hate and I'm going to be miserable and dread all week, the commitment, when I will stay home on a Friday night and source a product and make $500 from that. Like, I'm not saying that's always what you want to do, but it has helped us prioritize and it's helped us appreciate time that we do choose to spend with friends and family.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say that, just for me, like noticing how, my relationships with friends I used to be friends with, even family members, like as my priorities have shifted with the business, like this is my baby. Like this is my life, this is my purpose that I'm trying to fulfill with this in this lifetime, is to inspire people, to help people, to make this world a better place. And what the moment that I made that switch and put that first, it's not that I've had falling outs, but it's just like that this is the most important thing, and I think that's one of the hard things for people, is a lot of people are too scared to kind of let relationships that aren't serving them, to let them go.
Yes, to commit. And we're huge Gary Vee fans. He's the reason we quit our jobs. Like as soon as I discovered Gary Vee, I started selling on Amazon the next day.
Really?
Like, that's how much of an impact he had on my life.
Yeah.
And after that, everything you just said just resonates so much with us as well. And even how you said, this is your baby. We have friends like, oh, I can't do anything like that. Like I have a baby. Do you understand? You don't sleep with a baby. I'm like, have you ever negotiated with anybody in China? Like at 2 a.m. like we have a baby too. Like no disrespect to them at all, because we don't have a baby for that reason. It is a lot of work.
Yeah, different type of baby for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So you get it.
Oh, absolutely. Cool, Morgan. We'll wrap this up here. A couple questions. What's been maybe the top 2 biggest books, or maybe things that have inspired you?
My favorite, most inspirational book is definitely Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay. So that basically, if anybody's not familiar, it just teaches you that sometimes going to college and doing the traditional route is really not the way to, be the most successful. I think that is, Gary Vee's book is really good as well. So,
I actually, I've been following him for so long and I've never read any of his books.
Well, you better get on it.
I know, I better get on it. Cool.
Alexa will read your books. She'll read them to you while you're working.
Oh, Alexa, yeah. Cool, Morgan. Well, I feel like we had a great talk and I had a good time, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you so much if people want to follow you on Instagram, TikTok, where can they find your course? Where can they learn more about you?
All our platforms have the same name. It's Cagun Ventures, CAGUN T-U-R-E-S.
Okay,
Cajun.
I think it's C-A-J.
Oh, what did I just say?
G. That's all right. I got you.
Oh,
I
I
got
might
you.
okay, just cut that. I don't even know what I said.
It's Kagan Adventures.
Okay, let me say that one more time. Okay, Cajun Ventures.
Cajun Adventures.
Cajunventure.
Perfect. Don't worry. I'll put a little link in the description below.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, girl.
Thanks.